After only a few months, I-DLE is already back with yet another comeback. Let's check it out today on the Culture Study. Hello groupies, welcome back to Form of Therapy. This is the Culture Study. I'm your host and video channel producer. You can call me PD. And today we are watching Uh-Oh by I-DLE, also spelled out as G-IDLE. I always feel like I have to preface saying I-DLE because in Korean it's I-DLE, but something about it being spelled with that G, saying it's a silent G is just odd. And you know, the word idol is used often in K-pop, so in case for some reason you ignored the thumbnail and the title and you somehow started watching this, I wanted to make it be known. Watching I-DLE with a G. So I'm really excited for this. Señorita was above and beyond amazing, and that was my first comeback. Now we're gonna be jumping into this as someone who loves Señorita and considers themselves a fan of their music. I know a lot of people have been expecting the I-DLE I Made reaction because I did put out a reaction for their album For I Am. Unfortunately, we did film it, but it is lost to time. It was on a hard drive, but that hard drive was corrupted and then it eventually failed, and we lost several listening parties on that hard drive. We lost stuff like I-DLE, Monsta X, and etc. So unfortunately there is not going to be a listening party for I Made. If this one also has an album, we're going to be checking it out. Actually, let me check right now. I have a suspecting feeling that it might be a single because I know last year their song Han was a single, especially because this is so soon after I Made. Yep, it's a single and there's no other song on it. So we're just gonna add that immediately because I already know it's going to be amazing. It's I-DLE. Let's get into it. But before we do, I just want to say, if you enjoy our content and videos on this channel, why don't you go ahead and consider visiting us on Patreon. It's the best way to support this channel. Go to patreon.com/forumtherapy. We are going to be doing reactions to J-pop stuff, live stages, variety shows, dramas, and you get early access to reactions like this as well. So go ahead and check that out on Patreon, but that's not completely necessary. And with that said, let's jump into this reaction. This is your form of therapy.
Hey, there's someone trying to be close to me. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
Wow, this is very different. Wow, Soyeon's actually singing at a higher tone too. So much denim. Wow. I love how empty this part of the instrumental actually is, and then there's just a violin just like, it feels really epic. Kind of reminds me of like mid-2000s hip-hop. Oh yeah, it definitely reminds me of like mid-2000s hip-hop. Very heavy 90s influence in this music video, not just in the fashion, but the actual aesthetic of the music video and the way this is shot too. We'll get into it in like a second viewing because we're gonna watch it a second time. Let me just enjoy this for now. Wow, that's a cool aesthetic. I have to imagine that they did that for real. Seriously, I really like how simple the production is. Whoa, she kind of looks like Yuri from SNSD with that look. SNSD has performed in that outfit before. White top, orange pants. Wow, her voice sounds incredible.
Yo, you got it? Don't mess with me. Now finished. Okay, let's go. 아무도 몰랐지 이 masterpiece, 이 masterpiece. 입가에 반복되는 멜로디, oh 멜로디. 너무나 완벽한 내 A to Z, oh A to Z. 팬들은 사랑해, yeah, LOV, yeah, LOV. Uh-oh.
I only have one note, and it says pushing gender boundaries. This song is incredible. This music video is awesome. Let's watch it again. Let's break it down. We'll talk about the song afterwards and kind of break down some of the interesting stuff that I spotted that I want to share with you guys. So even the way it starts, the way it's 4x3, the way it's square, that's how videos in the 90s looked like. And they had the filter over it that made it look like it's a retro video as well. So even the aesthetic of this, look at like the black top, the blue denim. I'm trying to see if the black top is like a bra, but it's like a leather top type thing. Very popular in the 90s. So I just saw an interesting shot there, but we'll pause a little ahead. Let's stop there real quick. And we actually paused right where I wanted to pause. So already, even in the instrumental where you suddenly hear the mixing, where you hear like the DJ scratching and mixing, it was a very popularized style in the 90s. And this angle alone, there's this angle and it's used several times throughout the music video. And there was a shot, something like this, a few frames ago. This low to high angle was very popular in 90s music videos. If you were alive during the time, or if you're older, if you're in my age range or older, you'll definitely remember seeing music videos like this where cameras are placed on either the ground or at a lower angle, and then they use a wide lens that kind of distorts the look, and then they come up right into the frame. They're like get right into the angle of the camera. It was very popular in hip-hop music videos. It was widely used in many different genres, but it was very, very heavily used in hip-hop music videos. They would kind of bounce back and forth from the background into the direct foreground, and it created a very dynamic effect. And back then, hip-hop, a lot of it was about attitude and style, and this music video is dripping with attitude and style and toughness as well. And so it always feels like they're coming at you, like they're attacking you. So that's pretty cool. Even just like, not just the aesthetic of this music video, which already it is. I mean, look at the girl on the left, one of the models. She has, I forget what that type of cap is called. It's like a big puffy slouchy cap, but that is clad leather and her top is leather. So she's wearing red leather on both parts. And that was also a big look in the 90s. Already, like, it's not just the aesthetic and visual of the music video, it's also the filmmaking techniques that they're using. See how the way they're just like nodding along? That too. Wow, even the top that she's wearing, the way it's tied around, she's wearing like a dyed top and it's like angled down like a handkerchief or bandana, sorry. All right, let's stop right there. This shot is so cool. Whenever you look at something like this, you have to briefly, momentarily consider, especially with technology nowadays, is that fake fire? Is that real fire? Looking at it, because, you know, sometimes depending on like artist safety, you don't want to use real fire, right? But looking at it, it looks like a relatively simple procedure in which they lit up this rope area. And I think based on how the light is refracting off of the shingles on the roof and on her skin, I feel like that's not FX work. That's got to be real fire. From this angle, it looks like it's closer than it is, but also I feel like the lens is sort of adding to that. It's creating a depth of field. So that was actually a really good choice, the way they shot this. It makes it seem closer than it actually is, and it makes it seem more edgy and dangerous. I think she's not too close. So yeah, they kept her perfectly safe. That's the way to do it. Ultimately, in this situation, just because when you work, especially with VFX and CG, some things it's easier to CG or add VFX to it, and some things it's just easier to do practical. And I think because of all the reflective surfaces that they would have to control the lighting for, it just makes more sense to worry about her safety and make it safe for her rather than pour all that money and time into doing CG. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure, because like sometimes you watch music video and they have like fire effects and it's not real, you know? Also, real fire just looks way cooler. Oh, so epic. Notice how all the models have bright red lipstick, every single one of them.
Yo, you got it? Don't mess with me. Now finished.
This scene right here, they're portraying like that underground hip-hop scene. It looks like an underground club, and like those underground clubs that hip-hop artists would perform in. Like she's assuming that kind of like 90s rapper MC role. Nice little light. It had a nice little LED bar right there to light just them, and it creates like this very dynamic red effect. Wow, that was cool. With every I-DLE comeback, it's kind of hard to not say that each comeback is better than the last. I feel like they are really, really pushing their boundaries and they are doing something different for themselves, and I really, really appreciate it. This song is so good. I am okay that this is just a single. Mind you, I would prefer an album, but I like this style of having a comeback just within a few months of your last comeback, and then also really pushing the boundaries of your style. Like, while I would like more songs, obviously you wouldn't want to overwork anyone either. You have to realize that they actually do have a bunch of songs ready, but there is a lot of careful time and care that takes in actually prepping a comeback. So I don't want to overexhaust that, but this song is so good. This whole concept and this comeback is so good that it is enough to sustain me. It's enough to satisfy me. So let's get back to my note. Pushing gender boundaries. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I-DLE is one of the few groups in the scene right now that is genuinely pushing boundaries in K-pop, especially for the female K-pop genre and just K-pop as a whole. There are a lot of girl groups that do tough concepts. There are a lot of girl groups that do concepts that are a little bit more aggressive, whether it's sexy, cute, girl crush, or something like that. When I first was discovering I-DLE, it was kind of hard to figure out what their style was. I was like, are they girl crush? No. know, there's elements of girl crush, but not exactly girl crush. Are they sexy? It's like, no, they are sexy, but it's not a sexy concept. Are they cute? Are they more feminine? What is their style? And eventually I realized after listening to their I Am album and especially their I Made album, they are a group that is genuinely not restricted by their gender. That is one of the things about the K-pop industry. It is still kind of an old man fogey type of mindset over there. Some girl groups are still restricted to only doing certain types of music, certain types of choreo. But within the past few years, we have seen a big pushback. We have seen a lot more progress in that realm. Even girl groups that did very girly concepts started doing stuff that's a little bit more boundary pushing. There are things where you are more inspired by something, but I-DLE is not just inspired by different things, they are those different things. I-DLE is genuinely gender neutral. This concept, this sound, it all comes down to the sound for me. The choreo is important, the look is important, but it all comes down to the sound for me and how you define that style, how they sing, how the instrumental sounds. This instrumental, like I said, it reminds me of like mid-2000s hip-hop music. I may not look like it, but I was somewhat involved in the b-boy scene in the mid-2000s. I myself was not a b-boy. I was, embarrassingly enough to admit, a sea walker. Listen, there was a big thing about Asians doing sea walking in the mid-2000s. Don't judge me for it. But because of that, through osmosis, I was privy to a lot of the b-boy scene and that hip-hop culture. There was a mix of different cultures going on, and it was really cool. And so I used to listen to a lot of quote-unquote b-boy music. And some of the stuff that I really liked was kind of music that was like this. A handful of hip-hop music, especially b-boy music, involved violins, like these striking violin sounds in the instrumental. And I really like how in this song, just during the verses, it's kind of like really hollowed out. I would have to listen to it multiple times to catch if there were any other instruments. But by par of the standards of like a regular K-pop song, it was a very hollowed out verse with only the violins kind of going dun 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 to sort of raise that kind of climax, that feeling you're getting of like, wow, this is going to be something epic. It's going to be something great. And the chorus hits hard, you know, not hard in how you would expect, but in a very impactful and powerful way that I feel like has not really been done in K-pop before. That's really hard to say. To say something that hasn't been done in K-pop before is really, really, really rare. This reminds me of like, it's a song from a Step Up movie. And Step Up movies, those dance battle movies, they incorporated a lot of music like this. There's a song from the Step Up movie. It's called I'ma Shine by Youngbloods. Go check it out. Go listen to it. I can't play it here because of copyright. Tell me it doesn't sound similar, like it's of that genre. It's so cool. That's the big thing I take away from I-DLE and just all of their music and all of their concepts. They're so effortlessly cool. I mean, Soyeon, my goodness, the woman exudes charisma. But overall, this comeback was by far their coolest. Now, another thing I actually like about the song is that they keep it interesting with their vocalists and their rappers too. They kind of didn't have the usual Soyeon rapping, the kind of rapping she does in a lot of, I think maybe all of her title tracks, and then in some of her B-sides, you know? Thank God I have heard I-DLE's B-sides before because I know the different ranges that Soyeon and Oogi are capable of. But in this title track specifically, I feel like a lot of K-pop groups, when they have a title track, sometimes they have a format of how things work, how members work. Let's say, you know, let's take a label mate from I-DLE, B2B. B2B has a very fixed style on how their title tracks work, and their B-sides are very different. But B2B in general, it's like, and then vocalists, and then Irun rapping, and then either Irun will rap first, and then Peniel will rap second, and then Minhyuk will always be last. Like, they have kind of like a formula, right? You know, as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, why fix it? But if you don't change it up, if you don't progress, you're gonna become stale, you're gonna become boring, right? And that's what I really like. Señorita was already a big push from I-DLE to do something different, but that was about their sound. Yes, this one, they changed their sound up as well, but they also gave different responsibilities to their members. I think by far, Soyeon did not really quote unquote rap. A lot of it was singing, and even if she did rap, it's just not the usual kind of rapping that she does. She has a very nasally, kind of like a lower tone rapping style, but here her voice was a lot higher, which I've definitely heard from her B-sides. So that's cool. And for people who just listen to the title tracks, because that's what I did for a while, for people who just check out the title tracks and don't check out the B-sides, this might be new and progressive, which might actually make them go, oh, wow, yo, I like this. Maybe I should check out their B-sides. And then Oogie as well. Oogie also tends to have like a deeper, lower voice, but I've heard in other B-sides where her voice can actually go higher, and it was so beautiful here. I love it. Mind you, I love Oogie's lower tone voice as well, but I loved her voice here. I love the range. I love that this song is keeping things interesting in not just its sound, but in their group dynamics as well. And then the other members were amazing as well. Now, I know the names of the other 3 members. I can just never remember who is who in the music video. So I gotta like imprint the name to the face. So if anyone can help me out on the other 3 remaining members, Miyeon, Shua, and Sujin. Yeah, that's correct. Those are the other 4 members that I know. So I know their names, but first of all, with Shuha as well, is that how you pronounce her name? I want to get it right. I need to figure out how to associate their faces to their looks. Who's the girl that came up during the bridge, you know, where everyone's like on the ground and she's like the only one standing up? Like Sujin, I can usually remember because Sujin kind of reminds me of, you guys know Sunny channel? She kind of reminds me of her. So like, that's how I can also remember her face. But the other members, I kind of gotta remember. Overall, this was a great single. This was a great song. This was a great comeback. And honestly, as long as nothing else goes wrong, when it comes to just the music, their concept, and their career, I think they are going to go down in history as quite possibly one of the more important groups to influence K-pop. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode of the Culture Study. I hope you learned something today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about the song and the music video down below. Also, if you'd like to support us, visit patreon.com/formoftherapy. For as little as $2 a month, you get early access to videos. You can also watch J-pop reactions, TV show drama reactions, variety show reactions. We're doing all sorts of stuff over there. So if you want to support us, head on over to Patreon. Link's going to be in the description. However, you don't have to support us monetarily. That's completely optional. Why don't you head on over and click like down below? It's free. Leave a comment while you're there. It helps us out with YouTube's search algorithm. And go ahead and check out all the other videos over here.